We'll call this meeting of the Oversight Committee for the date of January 9th to order. And may I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Board members Abkarian, Berry.
Here.
Nakasone.
Here.
Ochoa. Here. Sheehan.
Here.
Steiger.
Here.
Sorry, Steger. And Chair Raggio.
Here. And your report, please.
The posting of the agenda for the January 9th, 2013 special meeting of the Glendale Oversight Board was posted on Friday, January 4th, 2013 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you. And approval of minutes. May I have a motion to approve?
I move.
Second.
Any changes or deletions? Roll call, please.
Board members Abkarian, Berry.
Yes.
Nakasone.
Yes.
Ochoa.
Yes.
Sheehan.
Yes.
Steger.
Yes.
Chair Raggio.
Yes. Informational items.
At 4 is action items. 4A is Director of Community Development regarding due diligence review, DDR, of other funds, non-housing. And at 4A1 is a resolution approving the DDR review of other funds, non-housing.
Elena?
Good afternoon, board members. In December, you held a public comment session on the second of due diligence reviews that was required. The first due diligence review was required of the low mod income housing fund, and before I jump into the second one, let me just give a brief update on the outcome of the first audit. We sent the board-approved DDR to the Department of Finance, and there were some areas of objection. So we flew up to Sacramento and had a meet and confer. The meet and confer was very successful. We were able to restore $3.5 million. And what that means to you as board members representing the taxing entities is shown in the PowerPoint, and I'll hand out a copy to you. Because we restored some funding that the DOF objected to, that ended up increasing the amount of cash on the low mod income housing fund, and in turn, that equals money to the taxing entities that you all represent. So for example, Mr. Steger represents the County Flood Control District, and if you notice, the third and fourth lines down are the County Flood Control District, and that shows you based on the $281,000 that we sent over to the county auditor for distribution, that's how much his taxing entity received. And the same goes for Glendale Community College, Glendale Unified School District, various other county agencies, and certainly the city of Glendale as a taxing entity itself. So that's good news. The second audit was on the other funds, so excluding the housing funds, and that's the subject of your meeting today. Since your last December board meeting, we received some determination letters from the Department of Finance. Two positive things. First, the DOF disagreed with LA County's adjustment to our ROPS 3 distribution, and that was a win for Glendale of over $9 million. And second, DOF revised its ROPS 3 determination letter to restore another $3 million for Glendale. And if you recall, when you reviewed the draft DDR, there was no money to be distributed. Because we got money restored from DOF, our cash has increased, and in turn, the second page of the PowerPoint that I handed out, based on what we project, based on all the income that will be coming into the Successor Agency, offset against all the obligations that we need to pay during ROPS. At the end of the day, there's $2.4 million to be distributed, again, to the taxing entities that you all represent, and the same tax rate and percentages are, amounts are noted on the PowerPoint. And so, again, that's good news. And I say proposed because this is what we're proposing. Again, we have to send this over to the Department of Finance and get them to agree as well. We did reach out to them before this meeting to make sure that we were revising DDR with concurrence of the DOF, and what they directed us to do was incorporate all the changes into the resolution, and if you recall, all of your resolutions have to be sent over to the DOF, and so that's what will start their review of the DDR, is the resolution and also the report itself. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Questions? Are they going to have any more difficulties, do you think?
I hope not.
At least as far as we know, things are pretty well fixed.
I do want to point out the resolution. We did just modify it slightly. If you turn to page 2, we passed out a substitute resolution, and in the first whereas, we just inserted the words "at DOF's direction," because DOF doesn't receive our staff reports, they just receive our resolutions, and so we just want to remind them that we made the revisions at their direction.
Very good. Is there any further information that we need before we take action? I'll entertain a motion. Second.
Second.
Further questions or comments?
I had a question. On the DDR, the staff looks like it's recommending including the $2.4 million of bond issuance costs. Was that item, when the auditors did their review, did they include that as part of the DDR, that $2.4 million?
They did not in the first version that you see, and we caught it when we were making these revisions, and that's why it's noted in there. I'd be happy to have him expand on that if you need to.
Now, my concern is that the $2.4 million is something that's already been paid. I mean, I understand the accounting reporting that's required to amortize it over the life of the bond, but we're trying to figure out how much money needs to be left with the agency to pay off all the future obligations, and it's already something that's been paid, so I don't think you include it also as needing to be.
And I think that's essentially what we're saying. We're saying that's not money that's available for distribution. It's not money it's not an asset that can turn into cash to be distributed.
And I guess I'm saying it is because it's already been deducted when the bond was issued.
Okay, I will ask
We'll ask Peter George, the gentleman that prepared this. It actually was paid at the time. That $2.5 million is an accounting, so it's paper money. You couldn't generate the cash if you wanted to. It doesn't exist. But in accounting terms, it does. And so that's why it's appropriate to put it there, but it's not available for distribution because it has already been paid. GASP requires us to amortize it. Were this next year, and probably I should let Mr. George come up, but were this next year when the rules change, that wouldn't be there at all because it would have already been accounted as an expense in 1 year. GASP required us to amortize it over time.
Okay, and maybe I misunderstood. Does this mean that what's being left over with the agency for future obligations, it doesn't include that $2.4 million? It's not an additional $2.4 million?
From an accounting perspective,
I'm talking about cash.
cash, no.
Okay.
Any further questions? Well, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Board members Abkarian, Berry.
Yes.
Nakasone.
Yes.
Ochoa.
Aye.
Sheehan.
Yes.
Steger.
Yes.
And Chair Raggio.
Yes. The action carries. Next item.
Item 5 is oral communication. Discussion is limited to items within the jurisdiction of the Oversight Board. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Members of the Oversight Board may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. The matter may be referred to staff to the Executive Director of the Successor Agency for investigation and report.
I have no cards. So oral communications. We're next, board members and staff comments.
I have go ahead.
No good.
Sure.
Just Happy New Year.
Just looking forward to your February meeting.
You're looking forward.
We just put ROPS 3 to bed, and we're already looking forward to ROPS 4. We anticipate bringing ROPS 4 for your review at your February 6th board meeting. When ROPS 3 was presented to you, I believe it was Board Member Abkarian requested that we send the ROPS 2 weeks in advance to allow him and the rest of you adequate time to review. I can certainly make the 2-week deadline. However, that would mean pushing your February 6th meeting 2 weeks down the line. The ROPS 4 schedule, Oversight Board approved schedule, is due to the DOF by March 3rd, and so which means March is too late for your board meeting. So it's up to the board. Either we can keep your February 6th meeting and send you the ROPS a week before, or we can postpone your meeting by 2 weeks, have a special meeting, and get you the ROPS 2 weeks in advance. In the past, it's been difficult to get you all together other than the first Wednesday of the month, but I will leave it up to the board to decide.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I'm okay with the 1 week.
Ron?
I'm okay with 1 week.
I'm okay with 1 week.
1 week's
1 week.
Okay.
So that would be the normal course of events.
February 6th at 2:30.
All right.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it. I do have one comment. And in fact, I was talking to Jennifer outside, but last week there was an issue or last meeting, there was an issue that came up as to whether we would have anything in the way of immunity from suit or what. So would you clarify that for us?
Thank you, Chair, members of the board. It's actually one of the few things I think it's fairly easy. There's actually an answer. It's pretty clear, actually, from 1484 that the board members do, in fact, have immunity. They enjoy the same kind of immunity that public entities and employees and actually officials have. So it's the same kind of immunity. It's very specific and laid out in 1484. It's actually Health and Safety Code section 34179D as in David. I'd be more than happy to get you the section, but it's clear.
Is that clear? I don't know who had the question last time. I just remember it as being something that was brought up. And the end result is that, yes. We have the same privilege as others do with respect to public service.
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further comments? This is a new record. I think this was a 13-minute meeting. And I want to wish everybody a happy, happy New Year and a successful one on top of that.
Yeah.
And
motion to adjourn?
we are adjourned.
Who moved and who seconded?
1, 2,
Thank you.
2, we're done.